Top 5 things you didn't know about Spock, and number 1 will blow your mind. Fact 5. On Vulcan, childhood betrothal isn't unusual. At age 7, Spock was bonded to a girl named T'Pring in a ceremony described as less than a marriage, but more than a betrothal. It also created a neurological link between them. A telepathic thread hardwired directly into his mind. Decades later, when Pon farr set in, that thread pulled Spock back to Vulcan whether he wanted to go or not. He had no choice. And the woman he was bonded to as a child used that same ritual to force him into a fight to the death. Against Kirk, the girl he was matched with at 7 years old nearly got his best friend killed. Fact 4. This next one might be the most emotionally brutal story in Spock's entire backstory. During the Kazwan, the traditional Vulcan wilderness survival rite, Spock's pet Sailot, Ichaya, followed him into the desert and was fatally wounded protecting him from a predator. When the healer arrived, 7-year-old Spock had a choice. Let Ichaya suffer a slow death, or order a peaceful release. Spock chose euthanasia. That decision, made at age 7 about a beloved pet, was the moment that locked him into Surak's philosophy of pure logic for the rest of his life. Fact 3. Before a single episode of Star Trek ever aired, NBC was already trying to get rid of Spock. Their publicity team refused to distribute promotional materials featuring his pointed ears and arched eyebrows. They were convinced that affiliates in the American South would see a literal depiction of Satan. So they quietly retouched the early press photos and removed his features entirely. They also pressured Gene Roddenberry to reduce Spock's screen time for the first 13 weeks. Roddenberry agreed, and then ignored the deal completely. By episode 5, fan mail addressed personally to Spock was arriving in such volume that NBC's whole anti-Spock campaign quietly collapsed. The most iconic character in franchise history was one network memo away from being erased from his own show. If you are enjoying this countdown so far, please like and subscribe for more deep dives. Fact 2. When Spock chose Starfleet over the Vulcan Science Academy, his father Sarek didn't argue. He didn't lecture, he just stopped speaking to him. For 18 years. Not reduced contact, not strained conversations, complete silence for nearly 2 decades. Their estrangement was so thorough that when they eventually served together on the Enterprise, the crew had no idea they were related. Nobody on the ship knew. Sarek had always been ambivalent about Spock's half-human nature, and the Starfleet decision confirmed every reservation he had. The most emotionally restrained character in Star Trek was carrying that wound the entire time, and he never once showed it. Fact 1. And now for the number 1 spot. The big reveal that most casual fans completely forget. Spock is widely known as the most loyal, rule-following first officer in Starfleet. But did you know he is also one of the Federation's most notorious criminal mutineers? In the classic episodes titled The Menagerie, Spock actively commandeered the Enterprise without authorization. He forged command codes, mutinied against the bridge, and kidnapped Fleet Captain Christopher Pike. He locked the ship on a course to Talos IV, walked onto the bridge, and turned himself in. Visiting Talos IV violated General Order 7. That is the only regulation in the entire Federation that carries an automatic death penalty. No exceptions, no appeals. Spock pled guilty to every single charge and was fully prepared to die just to give his former captain a chance at a real life. That's your 5. Spock wasn't just the smartest officer on the ship. He was the most willing to sacrifice everything, even his own life, for the people he refused to admit he loved. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe.